And welcome back to the show, folks. We are here with none other than the Warrior Bonfire Program. We have with us, joining us on our little show today here, we have retired Lieutenant Colonel Mr. Mike Foss. Mike, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
And we also have with us the Vice President of the Warrior Bonfire Program, Ms. Helen Phillips. Helen, thank you so much for joining us here.
Thanks for having us.
You bet. So basically, as we've talked before, really the purpose of these things is to let people get to know who you guys are, what the bonfire does, so on and so forth. So with that being said, Mike, to you, what is the Warrior Bonfire Program?
Well, I gotta kind of tell you how we got started, and to really tell you what we do.
Okay.
Back in sometime in 2012, a buddy of mine, an old Army buddy of mine, guy named Dan Fordyce, that I started my Army career with, he decided that he wanted to take some wounded veterans on a hunting trip. Dan and his brother got a great piece of hunting property, an hour outside of Vicksburg, Mississippi. Dan, being who Dan is, he just starts calling Walter Reed and BAMC and Balboa and all these big military hospitals, and they're telling him, "Who are you? Go away! Don't call again." So Dan got the idea that, well, if I'm going to do this, I probably need to start a nonprofit so somebody will listen to me. And so the Warrior Bonfire Program was formed. And Dan, still with just the idea, he just wanted to take some guys, show them a good time. And Dan was introduced to a medically retired Army Sergeant First Class guy, a guy named Chuck Williams, who had been injured in an RPG attack. And in GCC, as we call him, first thing he told Dan is, "Hey, we don't need to go all over to Walter Reed and all these big Army hospitals. We can find guys in our own backyard, being Mississippi and Louisiana." GCC also told Dan that, I could spend all day with a certified counselor and not find the therapeutic value of just hanging around with five or six guys that had been there. And so that's kind of the direction of where we went. That's kind of the inspiration. And so Dan, still thinking he's just going to show these guys a good time, Dan and GCC find five other guys, and he takes the six of them up to their hunting place. And after the first night, everybody's gone to sleep, and Dan and his brother Hunter are like, "Holy crap, there's a lot more going on around here than just deer hunting." And so I tell you that because that kind of leads to who we are and what we do. The Warrior Bonfire Program serves Purple Heart recipients, those guys wounded in combat at the hand of the enemy. And we take them on what we call today bonfire retreats, typically 6 at a time, because GCC said 5 or 6. And we take them on bonfire retreats throughout the country. And the idea is to still show them a good time, get them in the great outdoors, because there's healing in the great outdoors. So we go fishing, we go hunting, we go skiing, we go snowmobiling, we go surfing, we've done caving, we've done an NASCAR experience, we've done a Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. You name it, we've done it or would like to do it. And the idea is to get them in the great outdoors because there's healing. But what really truly happens is, there's a bond amongst veterans. And when veterans get together, they bond. And when you take wounded guys, that bond even happens more quickly. And so what happens is they start opening up to each other, talking to each other, helping each other, telling each other their story. Over the past, 7 years that I've been involved in this organization, I've truly come to believe that folks that have dealt through traumatic experiences in their life can only truly open up to someone that's been through the similar experience. And what's more traumatic than war every day for a year at a shot? And I'll give you 3 little examples, none of which have anything to do with the Warrior Bonfire Program. The first example is a traumatic experience, but it's a happy traumatic experience. When a woman goes through childbirth, she can really only explain that, talk about that with another woman that's been through childbirth. I mean, I was in the room 3 times and I don't get it. So there's that happy experience where they can only truly happen. And then the next one I'll give you an example of is my son. When my son was a senior in high school, December 13th of 2013, there was a shooting at his school. My son was 2 classrooms away. He heard the Molotov cocktails go off. He heard the gunfire. He knew the girl that was killed. He knew the shooter that ended up taking his own life. And my son to this day has never talked to me, my wife, his big brother, his big sister, about what he experienced that day.
Right.
Who do they talk to? Classmates, teachers, coaches, people that were in that building. And the third example I'll give you is a World War II vet named Philip Cassio. In 2016, Dan, our founder, was interviewing Philip for the World War II Museum. And Philip had been in a B-17 bomber flying over the English Channel. They got shot down, but they were able to land in the water and get out in a lifeboat. But they were captured by the Nazis. And Philip spent 811 days in the German POW camp.
Yes.
And he told Dan, and remember, he's 97 at the time. He tells Dan that when his nightmares would come, what we call PTSD today, he would call up one of the guys that had been in the POW camp with him, talk it through, and nightmares would go away. And then he tells Dan, now all those guys are gone. I got no one to talk to. And I have the nightmares almost daily. So
Jeez.
One of the biggest things the Warrior Bonfire Program does is help these guys build bigger and stronger support communities as their nightmares come through the rest of their life.
Right.
And we do 2 formal things besides all the recreational stuff, and then I'll shut up. Is one, night one, we sit around and everybody tells their story, and how they got hurt and what happened to them and those kind of things. And, some guys open up right away. Some guys, it might be a day or 2. I've never been at one of those things where there wasn't at least one guy that at least had contemplated, if not attempted, to take their own life. And the other thing we do at the end, we do a bonfire retreat, or a bonfire ceremony. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. And what we do is we retire a U.S. flag, and everybody gets 3 stripes of the flag, red, white, and blue, and they retire each stripe in honor of a fallen comrade. Now you can imagine that gets pretty emotional. Very
much, yeah.
Yet it's also very healing. Think of that guy that's got survivor's guilt, and he's got to retire that stripe into the fire in honor of that guy. And in the back of his mind, he's got that survivor's guilt, but he's also got it telling him, I got to keep going for that guy, for my buddy. And then a lot of guys, they never had an opportunity to say goodbye to someone that was killed when they were injured. And it gives them that opportunity. And in a real small period of time, that's Warrior Bonfire.
I can tell you after being at the one in Missouri there, it was a moving experience for sure at the end there. And I was thoroughly humbled just kind of to take my place back and watch these warriors go through that ceremony there. It was, like I said, it was very moving. You touched on one thing, Mike, there that I think is the most important, is that while, recreational therapy is a real thing, we know that there's plenty of organizations such as the Bonfire that, help provide those avenues. Really at the heart of this is that connection piece. You know what I mean? It's providing that connection and that conduit for people, just through many people working together, for that. It's one of those, I in a previous interview I did with the Romans Warrior Foundation, I made the statement that I can't understand what these guys go through because I've never walked it. I've never lived it. I don't know. I could say I understand, but it'd be a lie. I don't understand, but I most certainly understand that I can listen. I can pay attention and understand the severity piece, of that, and to just try to, provide that conduit to connect them with folks like you. Helen, if you wouldn't mind, what is it that you do with the Bonfire? We've heard from Mike as far as what the Bonfire is. What is it that you do with the Bonfire program?
So mostly I run the whole side of the veteran services piece. When someone registers, most often I'm the first one that they speak to at the Bonfire. I coordinate and arrange most all of the events that we do, the retreats. I also help. We have a group of volunteers that call each quarter. They call. We have them. Everybody separated out. That they have about 40 individuals that they call each quarter to check in on them and make sure that they're doing all right.
Nice.
I also tend to be the one that when I tend to, because I've made some of those personal connections, and Mike has too. We all have several personal connections throughout this organization, and that's one of the things that we strive to do. But I tend to learn that some of them are having very unique struggles, and depending on that type of struggle, I will try to look for resources and connect them to other organizations to help them in whatever capacity they need at that point in time. So kind of in a quick, short gist, that's what I do. But
nice.
Through our events, and I mean, Mike, touched on all of it incredibly well. But one other thing that we like to pride ourselves in is we bridge the gap, and the gap between the civilian community and the military community. And I'm
living proof of that.
Right. Like we give a lot of civilians the opportunity to say thank you when otherwise they feel really awkward. We give them that ability through either giving them gifts or, at our events, or helping organize a dinner or multiple dinners or the activities such as yourself. And when we do that, our veterans, and not all our veterans, some are active duty, but they come back just amazed and learning that there are people that actually care. For many of them, they don't believe that there are a lot of civilians that actually care about what they've been through and what they're currently going through, and that they can relate or understand or have empathy at all. And so when they see our volunteers interacting with them at some of our events, it really is moving for them. We had one come back from a South Dakota event that we had. It was at a ranch in South Dakota, and it was a cattle branding event. And basically, the community comes together to help this ranch brand their cattle, pull in the cattle, brand them all, and do what they do. And right. And one of his quote was, he looked around, he saw all these families, and there were a lot of children out there helping them and interacting with them. And he said, "This is the America I fought for." It gave him that reminder that this is what he fought for. So when we take them to different areas around the country, we take somebody from Mississippi and they're skiing in Colorado, or somebody from, South Dakota, and we put them on the beach in San Diego. It gives them the opportunity to see and do different things, and again remind them that there is a huge nation that needed them, and that they protected and they have preserved for the time being. So it's a really incredible thing.
That's super powerful. And I, speaking from my own experience of going and being there, I credit the Warrior Bonfire Program is that retreat in Missouri changed everything for us. I mean, for many years I competed, and that was my primary focus. And then I wanted to find a way to use my time, instead of, promoting products, promote, things that actually made a difference in the community. That was kind of my focus. I can tell you folks, after that retreat, we took that idea, amplified it, and flipped everything. And now where we have our business, I mean, the small story I wanted to share here about this is the final night at the bonfire, as we're all sitting around, one of the warriors is there, and he made the statement, Helen, what you were speaking to about time. He said, it's one thing to donate funds and so forth, and they're very grateful for that. Obviously, when people do donate funds, we need funds to keep things moving, but not everybody donates their time. And he looked over at me and the property owner that had donated the usage of the property for us, that deal, and he said, "It's true patriots like you folks that really, really bring this home." And that's why today, we literally, it was within maybe 2-3 weeks of being home, I filed for it. We now have the True Patriot Outfitters online. This is the True Patriot Podcast, because I'll tell you of a few titles and things that I've been called throughout my life. I have never been more proud than hearing that coming from that gentleman there. That meant so much to me to hear that. And now that is our primary focus. Fishing will have to take care of itself. We're still going to compete. We're still going to be out there. It provides things that make this all make sense. But in the same note, our focus, our time, our energy is right here, and that was because of the bonfire. I've seen those connections that you guys have both spoke about. I've seen it firsthand. I knew it was there. The science and the paperwork told me so, but seeing it, man, that just stamps that home so importantly. So Mike, what would you say if we had to narrow this down? I mean, we've kind of covered a lot of it, but if you could sum it up, what would you say would be the primary goal of the Warrior Bonfire Program? What is the, overall big picture?
The overall big picture is we're there to serve those that, through their service to us all, were wounded. And ultimately, what we're trying to do is build support communities for them, help them build support communities, help foster their healing, help improve their lives, and ultimately save their lives. Veteran suicide is, we as a nation, we did a great job. We took that number from 22 veterans a day taking their lives down and got it down to 17. And then the pandemic hit, because of the isolation incurred by the pandemic or mandated by the pandemic, that number's shooting back up again.
Right.
But that's it. Support communities, foster healing, improve and save lives.